All right, y'all. This is Rob Myers Jr. back with another video. You feel me? Let's see what's going on here with my pop. You know what I'm saying? About to ask my dad a couple questions. Y'all don't know my dad was, in his upbringing, he was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? He turned his life around and he started doing different things. You know what I'm saying? Owning cribs and different stuff like that. So I just want to talk about that with him and just, you know what I'm saying, get a little background on his life. And I know a lot of the stuff, but I just want to bring it to y'all, and I think this would be good content. So I'm gonna just jump straight into it. You know what I'm saying? With the first question, I got a couple questions that I'm gonna ask him. So yeah. So my first question is, how was your upbringing? Living conditions, parents, and like food.
Well, you know it was rough. You know the story. Come up, youngest of four, three sisters over top of me. Mom and grandmom. That's it. Never didn't meet my dad till I was like 27. Met him one time. That was it. That was 27 years ago. So it was rough. I mean, we come up poor. We come up hard, like so many other people in the hood. But we survived. You know, my mom, she did it from the muscle. Grandmom helped, but other than that, outside of that, man, we didn't have anything.
Right. So how did you get into the streets? Like, what was your first encounter?
Well, it's like straight and cut, just like anything. We a block over from the strip, from where they was hustling at. Just one block over, and we used to walk through there from school. And one of my friends, he was my best friend at the time. He stopped, and we kept going. A couple other guys kept going, but he stopped. And the next day, he was telling us that, he telling us what's going on around on that street. And so the next day we stopped. We all stopped. And that's where it started. We stopped every day, and then until one of the old heads around there called me down the street, told me to hold on to one of his bags, and that started everything. 1980, 1985. 1985. I was turning 15, and that's where it started. Just like that, no grooming or anything like that. We just stopped past the east side, and a week later, I was hustling.
By the way, yeah, we from Chester, Pennsylvania. Just no throwing that out there. Just coming up in Chester, PA. So in that sense, like, so it was just like it was you and all your friends that started around the same time.
Well, it was just me and one of my friends, which was my best friend at the time. But people around there shortly found out that he was a fuck up, for lack of a better term, and they took to me, and the money was coming. I started off as just holding. I was just a runner, run up and down the block with everybody's packs, and one day somebody stopped me and asked me, did I have anything? And I said, yeah. So the guy stuff that I was holding, I dipped in the bag, gave it to him, and from there he spread the word, and everybody started coming to me, and that's where it got real. You know what I'm saying? And I started hustling, and it was on.
Just went up from there.
It went from there. We had an open invitation around there. It was open. Anybody wanted to come, you come on around. But I was the oldest young guy, if that makes any sense. I was the oldest young boy around there.
Mm-hmm.
So all the old heads just, they just took a liking to me. They, we used to go run to the store for them. We used to go get sneaks, go to the store, get their food, and
So most of the old heads was coming to you, like,
yeah, most of the old heads. And I was the first young boy to have a license to drive, so I was driving everybody's car. I was doing a lot around there, a block away from my house, and the money, like I said, the money was coming. The money was coming. It started off at like $25 a day. As a young boy back in '85, $25 a day was a lot of money.
mm-hmm.
You was able to go get a pair of shell tops or something like that for $30 over at the Snicker store. So it just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And you what you do is you stand by and you watch how everybody do it, and you come to terms that you want to do it and you want to do it better. So we didn't have to worry about the police then. They didn't have too many police people out there. No snitching, none of that. And that's what we was doing.
So you would say like the money kept you reeled in.
Definitely the money. Coming from where we come from, money was tight. I had just I was a young guy playing sports, good at sports. We started playing with music back then. Music had just, rap was about perhaps 8, 9 years old, but really it was in its infancy. And once I got a hold of once I got around the east side, all the football, all the basketball, baseball, all that stuff went out the window. It was about the money. DJing, it was all about the money then.
You dropped all that.
Dropped all of it.
So you wasn't really thinking about that at the time. No, like the circumstances of getting into it, and things that could happen to you, or did you know?
As far as like
the risk,
stick up guys,
just risk.
Well, the risk was low. It was
At that
age,
time.
at that time, the risk was low. Like I said, it was virtually no police. You might have had two narcotics officers, and they came around once every 3, 4, 5 months. We weren't too much worried about the stick up kids because it was like insulated.
Mm-hmm.
So we on the block, we could see down that street, we could see up that way, we could see up that. We seen everything coming, and wasn't nobody really into the sticking up, and it wasn't a lot.
A lot of that going on here.
Wasn't virtually none around the east side.
Right. When was the first time you experienced like you said it was getting real? When was your first time like you experienced betrayal? You know what I'm saying? Somebody that was your man, and something happened, and you was like, dang, like it's really real. It's crazy. Or did you experience that? Did you have any experiences with that?
Didn't have too many experiences with that until probably 4 years later, 1989. That's when all the hardship started. It was Task Force came out. They came out like January '88. Once the task came out, they made things hard for us to hustle. Had the stick up boys started coming out, and then 1989 is when it all started. 89, 88 actually. December '88 is when I caught my first case by Task Force. So I was one of the dumb young boys that didn't listen at that time. I should have went in the house. I didn't. I thought I was gonna steal a couple dollars from around the east side, just stay around and hang out, make a couple extra dollars. And it didn't work out like that. I got locked up. Got bailed out, but got locked up. At the time I got bailed out, it was all right. Everything was okay. Gotta go back and forth to court. But what happened was the next year I got locked up again. And that case that I caught in '88 came back to haunt me because I was on probation.
Right.
So once I got locked up again, they put a detainer on me because of probation. Caught that case in '89, November '89, almost a year later, with a $500,000 bail. So
Couldn't nobody make that.
Yeah, it was only a few of us making that type of money back then. You know, we was in the streets, we was in there heavy, we was on our way, we was on our way. But I got locked up, caught that case.
So how long was you in there for both times?
Um, 88, I went Delaware County Prison. I was in there for maybe a week. Did a week. I was locked up a week. Got bailed out. Turned around, got locked up again. 89. In 89, I didn't get out until 92. It was the start of 92. So it was from 89 to 92. And down a little bit down the line, I caught another case. And then that case came back to haunt me because I caught another case after that. So I got one misdemeanor and 2 felonies on my record. All drug convictions.
So after that, that's when you got into boot camp.
Yeah, 95. After I caught the last case, CID ran up on me. Somebody set me up, ran up on me. I got away. I ran. I was 4.2 speed at the time. They couldn't catch me. I was super fast, and they couldn't catch me. So I got away, but I had to turn myself in. So I'm the type of dude. I do something. I'm a man up, and I'm a man up and go and face the music. Went and faced the music. Got out on $1,000 bail. Was fighting that. This is 95. We fast forward to 95. April of 95. They sentenced me to 2 to 4, 2 years to 4 years, with a boot camp clause. So if I qualified for boot camp when I went up to the penitentiary, they would let me out in less than a year. Qualified. Was in graded for maybe a week and a half. Went to Camp Hill and I got qualified in Camp Hill and I went to boot camp. And 9 months later, I was home. So that was an experience that I wouldn't want nobody to experience. It was a rough stop.
Take us through a day, like a day through boot camp. How would it go? Just a random day.
Oh, well, I start from the beginning. When you get there, you get off the bus. You're in shackles. They calling your name. It's 100 officers in your face spitting, telling you, one person is telling you to go in, the other person is telling you not to go in, the other person is telling you to come this way. So it's a mind thing. Boot camp was a mind thing. But all I had on my mind was, I gotta do 6 months of the shit and I'm home, instead of doing another 2 or 4 years. So that's how it started. Early on, they got 3 phases. When you get there, you're in green phase. That's the beginning phase. And they have you doing all kinds of dumb stuff that you wouldn't imagine what they have you doing. 2 months later, you become red phase. Red phase is they're a little bit lenient, a little bit more lenient, but they're still on your ass. And then you graduate to gold phase. Gold phase is the phase where they don't bother you. They let you do your own thing. And then you come home. 6 months is 100 was it 26 weeks, 180 days up to boot camp.
180 days.
Central Pennsylvania.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. Every day you wake up. They wake you up with the military. It's all military style. So they wake you up with the horn, the bugle. You got to get up. You got to stand at attention at your bunk. Officers walk around. You gotta ask permission to use the bathroom. It's everything. You ask permission. You gotta ask permission. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're trying to do. If you want to speak to an officer, you gotta ask. You gotta request. Not even ask. You gotta request permission to speak to an officer. So that was crazy. That was crazy in itself. But 6 months, I wouldn't have traded in for nothing.
Do you think boot camp changed you at all? Or no, not really?
At the moment it did. At the moment, it did, but like many of us, we think we're smarter than the police. We don't realize that the police, all they do is wait for you to mess up. You got one chance to mess up. They don't have to mess up. You have to be the one to mess up. So you got to watch out for the police, the snitches, the stick-up guys, the wiretaps, the phone taps, the surveillance. You got to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. So you come home, you're not thinking about that. You home, we back to the money. I'm gonna get some money. I need some money. You ain't thinking about a job. Eventually, you try to get a job, but you can't get a job because you got a record. So, you get back to the money, back to the streets, back to the same old shit.
Right.
You think you're smarter. You think you're doing it different. You think you're being slick and sleek. You're not. You're not.
They're gonna catch up to you.
Eventually, to catch up to you.
Right.
So, but being in the streets and coming home, I mean, from 90, I came home March of 96. And it started getting to the bag, getting to the money again. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like you taking 200,000-300,000 up Philly, scoring, sweating, scared, you can get pulled over. It's crazy. You get 15, 20 bricks in the back, and you can't concentrate.
Adrenaline rushing and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's bad. It's bad. It gets bad. Eventually, you get to a point where you grow out of it. If you got some sense, you'll grow out of it. Some people, some guys I know, they still out there. Me, it got to a point where I was losing more money than I was making from being in the streets. It became, you spend 40,000 to make 41,000. That
Wasn't really making nothing.
Nah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to spend 40 and make at least 80, 70 or 80, somewhere around there. You make 30, 40,000 profit. That wasn't working. That wasn't working. So you just bail out. You bail out gracefully. You know what I'm saying?
So during this time, like, were you, like, what was your first time, or did you ever get robbed? And
my first time getting robbed was 87. A guy was known for robbing people. Came from out of nowhere. We was on the east side, standing on the corner. Came from out of nowhere. Stuck the gun right to my nose. Said, "Give it all up." What he didn't realize was, at that time, I was working for somebody, and the person that I was working for didn't go for that. So they found him and made him give all the shit back.
Oh, everything he took, he just gave it back.
Everything he took. I wasn't out there to shoot, rob, steal. I'm already doing something wrong. I know that in my head. My mom would kill me if she found out. She kind of knew, but she couldn't. She couldn't really control me after a certain age. But I wasn't out there to shoot nobody, rob nobody. Still, I just wanted the money. So we get to it. We get to the bag.
So what would you say was your craziest experience in the streets? Do you have something that stands over everything, or do you have multiple things?
It's several incidents that happened. One was one night, one Friday. I'm out. I'm clocking. I'm selling. The biggest thing I'm selling is like 50s. And I come home. I got socks full of money, pockets, jacket, everything. Money. Counting money. Like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm in my room at my mom's house, and these 2 guys came in with guns to my face, with masks on. Grabbed me, roughed me up, money flying everywhere, roughed me up, hit me with the gun, pistol whipped me. They got away. Left a trail of money leaving the house, both ways, back door and front door. eventually we find out who it is. That's 15, 20 years later. But at the time, didn't know. And see, hustling turns you into a monster. It turns you into something you don't want to be, because they're going to try you. They're going to try to rob you. They're going to try to get you.
Right.
And you got to become a monster in order for not to be got. So that prompts you to get a gun and go look for the people that did it, which I did. But like I said, at the time, I didn't know who did it. Never found out at that time. That was one incident. All the incidents with the police getting locked up because they pop up out of nowhere, and you try to figure out who told on you. Find out later on in life who told. Every incident I know who told on me. Got shot at a couple times. Never been shot. They got a bomb threw at us. But just those robberies, you know. And of course, you know about the robbery here. That was traumatic in itself. Several robberies in Chester where we live. Each residence had 2 or 3 robberies.
So like during all this stuff, did you lose any people along the way?
As far as
Just
friends dropping off or getting killed.
To jail, to death, anything.
Like I said, it all started in '89 for us and my crew. My crew, which consisted of Doc, Fat Doc Jordan, at that time Sean Jackson, and a couple more guys. I pretty much kicked it off. I go to jail first. While I'm in jail, now I didn't go up to penitentiary the first time I went to jail. I didn't want to. I was just turned 19. I didn't want to go to state. So I stayed out of the county. I was out of the county. They considered me a county lifer. Anytime you spend more than 20 months out the county, you considered a lifer. I kicked it off in '89. Went to jail first. While I was locked up, somebody told on Doc Jordan. He got locked up. We was out the county together. One of my old heads got told on. He was out the county with us too. Doc only had like 11 month sentence. We both home in '92, and in '93 I get locked up. I get rearrested with state parole. I go back to jail, but I caught a case. When I caught the case, that's why I got rearrested. By the time I came home, Doc Jordan was in the feds. Doc Jordan went to the feds. And what else? It's a few other things that happened within that time frame. But I know for sure we all eventually going to get into jail. We wrote our ticket to jail, so all of us been to jail. Mm-hmm. Doc was an A-track student. Fat Doc was an A-track student. I was a middle class. I was like a B student. I was in the middle. But we all ended up in jail. There's no way you can get away with that shit unless you step in the game, get what you're gonna get, and get out of it. You can't stay in the game. But nowadays, you can't get in the game at all. So, but eventually, we got to a point where Doc was about to retire. He was about to retire, stop hustling, and he caught another case. Caught another Fed case. Somebody told on him. In the midst of him being investigated, he got killed. Of course, he got killed by somebody we knew. Somebody from the east side. Somebody used to be up and around us all the time. Like Fat Doc got locked up. He ended up going to boot camp. um, yeah, we all been to jail. It's been a traumatic life. The streets. It ain't all the glitz and glamour and the money, and it's more to it than just that. They think the money is not easy. They call it easy money, but it's not easy money because you gotta go through a whole bunch of bullshit to get to it. You gotta watch. You can't. It got to a point where you couldn't front nobody no gear. You couldn't talk about no gear. You couldn't buy no gear off of nobody. You couldn't do nothing. And I believe I ducked a major bullet. A major one.
So, and yeah, like he said, Doc Jordan, you know what I'm saying, that was his homie, that was his right hand man. So like, can you take us through that story of how that happened, or
how we met, how we started hanging,
how y'all start hanging, and up until the point to where, you know, the story of, you know, him losing his life ultimately.
Well, we knew each other for a long time. Doc was from up the 24th Street area. That's 24th and Walnut, 24th and Chestnut, up that way, in Chester. So we used to have a basketball court around the east side, and people used to come down to play ball, and we knew him as Doc Jordan. They called him that because he had a game like Doc and played like Jordan. So he was real good, and he brought a couple of his friends down. He kept coming. They stopped coming. He kept coming. We took a liking to each other and just started hanging. Just hanging. And we got real tight. I can remember when we watched, I know for a fact we've been hanging since 85. We was hanging in 85 because we watched the Slam Dunk contest. Matter of fact, 86, I'm sorry, 86. We watched the Slam Dunk contest in my mom's house. So he was a year older than me, a year and a half older than me. And I can remember us watching the All-Star, the All-Star game in the Slam Dunk contest. And we just hanging out, you know, we just hanging around the east side, hustling. Just hustling all day, every day. So what's crazy is his stepdad was a cop.
Dang.
Yeah, but they didn't like each other.
Oh, he ain't like you?
Nah. So yeah, that's pretty much how we got cool. Fat Doc is actually from the east side, right on the block. So we always knew him, but he didn't start hanging with us until 80, 89, and I didn't start really hanging with Doc until like 92, 93.
So the story I was getting to is what's like the biggest thing you think you learned in the streets? What's the biggest thing you learned?
They're gonna take your freedom, and once you lose your freedom, it's wasted time. Cause life is short. You start thinking back now, at this age, and you think about losing 4 or 5 years of your life. It's like, yo, back then you're young, you ain't thinking like that, but you get to a point where you start thinking like, yo, I can't give these guys 2, 3, 4, 5 years of my life over a bag of drugs, over a little bag of drugs. I can't do it. You realize you're hurting your mom, which is the biggest thing for me because she's all I had coming up, her and my grandma. They still be on they're still gonna be in your corner though. You don't think you're gonna get killed, or you don't think you're going to jail, or none of that. But if you hang around long enough, it's gonna happen. So, yeah, that's basically what I get out of it. You have your kids. You start having your kids. It wasn't too serious when I had Sean. It was a different experience when I had her, which is his sister. Like I said, when I came home, I still was hustling. So I really didn't think in my head that I would go to jail again. It didn't start getting too serious until I had you, because you was playing. Sean wasn't playing. We planned to have you, and once you came, that's when the thought process changed a little. But I was on my way. I was on my way to the feds. I was gonna get locked up. I know I was. So thinking about your kids, your wife, at some point you gotta slow down and get out. Um, that's just a time clock to go off in your head when you start to mature and get older. You start to think like, yo, I can't do it. Because when you on that bus and your hands is cuffed, matter of fact, your hands are cuffed to somebody else, and you can't move your arm, and you 5 6 hours away from your house. You literally 5 6 hours away from where you're from, and people have to travel to see you. And it's tricky because your mom came to see me one time, and she only was able to see me 10 minutes.
For a 6 hour ride.
For a 6 hour ride, 10 minutes, and it's nothing. They don't care. They don't care. Um, that type of stuff hurt. It hurt. But yeah, I don't want to get off topic because I got a lot of. I can go on forever.
I know. I mean, like I said, yo, I've heard a multitude of this type of stuff. We didn't had countless conversations of stuff like this, and it's a big reason on why I am the way that I am. You know what I'm saying? He
Main reason.
put me in the position to win. You know what I'm saying? And just trying to get on the path of what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? But
As long as you have patience, you'll get there. We didn't have patience. We wanted the money. We wanted to go to fights. We wanted to get on the plane and go places and do stuff and buy all kinds of crazy gear and spend 800-900 on shoes, and it was. And you think back. I mean, I was good with money, but all the money we were making should have been invested in several different ways. I should have had lawn equipment, construction equipment, bulldozers, and I should have had all that stuff. But in hindsight, you start thinking like, man, that's what I should have did because you had money for it. But when you got the money, you want more. And if you want more, it's going to take you to buy more drugs and be more into the streets. And while you're more and more into the streets, you're scared because you got illegal money. You can't put it in the bank. What can you do? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to put it in the bank. Now they looking at you. But you don't realize, yo, they looking at you anyway. We should have took that money and invested. But, you know.
so if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh, man. My 20-year-old self. 1990. Oh, man. Well, first, I would say you got to get your shit right. Because I still had a year and a half left in jail when I was 20. I turned 20. I still had to the end of the next year to even think about walking out of jail. The sentence was 25 to 50. It was an open plea, basically no contest. I threw myself on the mercy of the court. I got caught with 6 ounces, almost 17,000 in cash, and an old 38 pistol. So back then, you get caught with a gun, you don't really get charged with that stuff back then. So that led to me having a detainer from probation, and I said it earlier, $50,000. Well, it was a $500,000 bail, $500,000 to get out. I needed $50,000 to get out on bail. So they had their eyes on me, they had their sights on me, And police knew I wasn't that type of guy as far as being into the streets to shoot, fight, kill, and all that. They knew I was about business. And yeah, so
What would you say though?
I forgot. I got off topic. My fault. What would I say? I would say you got to get it right. You can't. It's nothing else I could have said to myself at the time. Yo, you got to get it right. Because I believe I think if my father was around, I think, and I almost know that if I had somebody on my side pushing me to do certain things and not go to the streets, I wouldn't have never went to the streets. But I didn't go to the streets looking for love and none of that gang shit, because we ain't had no gangs. I just went to the streets because it was available.
Right.
It was available. I mean, I quickly became a hood legend. I ain't proud of it, but quickly became a hood legend. You know what I'm saying? So
He ain't lying. They drive around the city and they call me Lil Mo. So, but nah. Last question is have you or do you ever experience survivor's guilt?
never, because my way of thinking is it's part of the game. If you as far as being in the street, as far as surviving the street and
yeah,
certain people getting killed.
certain people getting killed, some people going, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, because it's part of the game. I just know it's part of the game, and it's going to happen. It's a way of life. If you enter that life, if you go that route, you got to know that you either going to end up dead or in jail at some point. That don't mean if you go to jail, you're going to be there forever. But if you keep going and you keep catching these cases, we think we catch these cases and skate and get off scot-free. When the feds come calling, they're going to look at all that. And your point system is going to be higher than hell. And they're going to say, nah, bro, you going to life. You getting life. And that's something you got to think about.
Right. Like I said before, when I started this joint, I told you, I said my dad, he you know what I'm saying, he changed his life around, you know what I'm saying, and he's on the better things, doing different things. Like I said, owning houses. My dad is a DJ. You call him, he could fix up anything in your crib if anything broke. Along those lines, you know what I'm saying. My dad is a what's the word? What they call it, a Renaissance man. You know what I'm saying? He could do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And if he don't learn how to do it, he's willing to figure it out and try to troubleshoot things. And you know, so my dad is a jack of all trades, and that's what I'm trying to be, and that's on the path that I'm on. And I know that he see that I'm got multiple things that I'm trying to dabble myself into. But you could just talk about how you was the first crib you bought, and how did you get in the house, and how did you get into fixing cribs up and stuff like that.
So I'm gonna skate through this, try to be brief. So what happened was, your grandmother passed away. When your grandmother passed away, which is your mom's mom, when she passed away, she left her Section 8 with your mom. So your mom had to find a house. She found a house on the east side on Walkland Street, where you were born, east side. Long story short, I'm hustling, but we living in a Section 8 house. That don't match. You know what I'm saying? That don't match. So while we're living there, the owner of the house, I told your mom, say, yo, ask the landlord if he want to sell the house. Long shot. He said, yeah. Bought the house. That was the first piece of property I bought.
How much was it?
Just $20,000. $20,000. So we did that.
Cash?
Cash. Got that out the way. And from that point, I'm like, oh, hold up. You can buy houses and you could do this. I always was interested in getting into real estate. That was the first house. but my first house that I bought to fix up was in 2001. 2001. And then after I did that, just kept going, buying house after house after house after house. And that's how I got into it.
What about the fixing?
Oh, the fixing up part. Well, the first house I bought, I got some guys in there to fix it up. I always know a little bit about carpentry and construction, just a little bit, nothing, because I never had the time. I was in the streets, and I hired some guys, and one of my old heads from the east side, he hired him, and he kind of told me after a few weeks, after I noticed he wasn't coming to work every day, coming to work on the house every day. After a few weeks, I noticed that. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, if you don't want to finish, let me know. So, come to find out, he said he underbid the job and grabbed his tools and left. This is a true story. Grabbed all his tools, left out the house.
That's crazy.
So I'm standing there with a shell of a house. No tools, no real knowledge of how to get this house back together. And I went to Home Depot, bought me a saw, bought me a drill, and I started working. Now, through trial and error, I got to the point where I am now. I'm all right. I'm not a master, but I'm okay. But back then, it was trial and error. I was fucking shit up. I was bad. It was bad. You know what I'm saying? But you do that when you go to school. You know what I mean? So I basically paid. I paid the price to teach myself how to do it. And that's basically how it happened. And from that point to now, which was 24 years ago, I've been rolling. So I know this stuff like the back of my hand.
So you've been doing this for what you
you
started right before I was born then?
Right before you was born. You was born in 2001, and at that time, your mom would go to work. I would put you in the stroller. She'd leave you with me in the morning. I'll put you in the stroller. By the way, the house was 2 doors away from my mom's house. So I put him in the stroller, walk up to my mom's house. We live about 6-7 blocks from my mom. Walk him up there, leave him at my mom's house, and go over to the house and start working.
Yeah, true story.
And yeah, so when was 9/11 was 2001.
Yeah.
9/11. So that was September. So you were what, 5 months? It was about 5 months when the towers fell.
4.
4 months maybe. Yeah. So that's how I know I was working on the house.
Right. I remember being a young boy and being in these houses. I think I don't know how old I was, but I know I was in elementary school when I was coming home or coming back, getting dropped off in the city from the bus. He'd pick me up in his blue truck. We going over to the crib. He there for hours after I get off. I'm just there on my game. I got my PlayStation 2 hooked up on the TV. He just in the crib fixing stuff up. I'm just there playing the game. Mind you, this is the house right next to where my grandma lived at.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. And he was in there fixing it up. Now that house is owned by Breon, my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing work in that crib before he owned that joint. But yeah, man, I was just giving y'all a glimpse and having a conversation with my pop on camera. Like I said before, we had plenty of different conversations on stuff like this, and I just wanted to bring it to the internet and to my channel to bring y'all into how he is or what he went through. You know what I'm saying? It's still way more that we could talk about. But this is just like I said, a glimpse of how his life was and how he got to where he is now, and you know what I'm saying, and So I just wanted to bring that to y'all. So y'all let me know how y'all like the video. Drop a like, drop a sub if you're new, man. We are, what, 9 subs away from 700? I'm at 691. I checked earlier. I'm at 691. So road to 1K, you know, road to getting monetized so I could, you know, I'm going full-fledged with this, and hopefully it all pans out, and, you know, we never stopping. So we out of here. Catch y'all in the next video. Peace out. You gotta cover the lens. Cover the lens.
Let's not procrastinate. If you was my dog, I'm telling you grab a plate. I got my moment and fell out with niggas I love, so I guess that's sad to say. The SRT was coming, but I do not drag a race. On them nights when I felt like I ain't had nothing, I had my faith.